Good evening. Would you mind joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Please remain standing for prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bless us as we gather today for this freeholder meeting. Guide our minds and hearts so we may work together for the good of our community. Help us to be generous in our outlook, courageous in the face of difficulty, and wise in our decisions. Amen. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Pursuant to the 2019 bylaws, rules, and regulations of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Burlington, time shall be set aside on the agenda for receipt of public comments. Public comments will be received with respect to agenda items prior to board consideration of resolutions to be adopted. An additional opportunity for public comment will occur later in the meeting. Public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Unused time may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons may speak once per public comment period. I direct the Deputy Clerk to enter into the minutes of this meeting this public announcement and the advance written notice of this meeting. Freeholder Hobson? Here. Freeholder O'Connell?
Here.
Freeholder Singh?
Here.
Freeholder Tyver?
Here.
Director Pulliam?
Here. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask for approval of minutes of both the public and conference meetings of September 11, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions?
I'm going to excuse from the public meeting.
Sorry.
The public meeting.
Oh, okay. All right, we have a recognition this evening. I'd like to recognize Marie B. Abula for Legal Secretary for the Prosecutor's Office, 42 years of service. I'm sure everybody is begrudgingly accepting your resignation effective September 30th. Would you please come up, and also could we please have our prosecutor come up as well?
Freeholder O'Connell.
Oh. For 42 years, you can both.
Yeah. I get 22 and he gets 20.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Maria. How are you?
Okay.
It's nice to meet you.
You get that as well.
Wow.
All after 42 years. I'd like to say something.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Are you related to Rick?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Do you get asked that a lot?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I
you
do
do.
not have any family in New Jersey.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
service
you.
to our county. We really appreciate it. 42 years is something to really be very proud of.
Thank you.
Scott, thanks for being here today.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah. Yeah, would you like to say anything?
I'm kind of nervous, but I haven't worked here for a long time. It has been fun. It's time to go. I guess everybody knows when it's time to leave, and it is my time. So thank you all for having me for so many years. And I guess maybe we'll see each other maybe someday. Or, pictures or anything, So.
Well, on behalf of the county, we want to wish you all the best in retirement. I worked for 42 and a half years before I retired, so you certainly earned it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Scott?
Just, well, thank you all to the board for recognizing Maria. It's quite a tenure, and I didn't do the math, but I saw their certificate. Maria goes back basically to the bicentennial with our office. And bucolic Burlington County in those days had 5 assistant prosecutors, she told me. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that we have many more now. But it's just sort of a sign of the evolution of things. But when you have somebody who's been there that long, you really have a lot of institutional knowledge. And somebody who you just count on seeing and being there every day and doing her job quietly and steadily. And she's been a big asset. And when you lose somebody that has that much history, you lose a little bit of your own history. And so we will miss you very much.
Thank you.
Because you're really a part of a family, and the number of prosecutors that you've touched in your time here is skyrockets probably in the many hundreds. But we're grateful that we've had you and wish you all the best in your well-deserved retirement.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm going to ask George Carmana to come on to the front. Thank you for coming by.
Sure, thank you.
So we just wanted to recognize George for all the work he does. Oh, he just gave me a gift. For our community, he does the bicycling, the runs. Unfortunately, this year I was not able to attend, but I did get the invite. It's a huge event he puts out. For the past 5 years, they have raised $127,000. Yeah, and then 42,000 of that was raised this year alone. And all that money goes to support our local recreation department in Mount Holly, the Nature Center, Little League, and all the countless other small entities that can deserve those small those amounts, and it can make a huge difference for them. So I want to recognize you on behalf of the county. Thank you for doing this.
Sure, thank you.
And I wish you the best in the coming year. Hopefully it's even a bigger ride.
Yes.
And if I'm around this summer, I want to ride along.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, you first. I want to thank you for the recognition. You know, I know I put a lot of hard work. This morning, I was talking to Josh Brown, one of the officials in Mount Holly, and he says that I deserve all the credit for the hard work I put in, but he said he always says yes, and that's what's important about this event. It's not only me, it's all the people that say yes, like John from the brewery and his partners.
Are they here?
Yes, they're here.
We should bring them over.
Yes, come on, John.
Would you please join us? Is Josh Brown here, the administrator in Mount Holly?
Yes.
I see Sean is here, Recreation Director from Mount Holly.
Yes.
Very good, gentlemen. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
honoring
Thank
this guy and then making it all happen.
Yes, very much. And Vince also from the homemade ice cream shop. He's a sponsor. You know, he volunteered and he also donated ice cream for the event. So he makes a part of the event. So
Thank you. I like it. All the calories get replaced right away.
yeah.
I'm definitely attending then.
Yes, and all the cyclists are here, some of my friends are here too, so I really want to thank you, because thanks to all of them, and thanks to John, who always trusted me and allowed me to put the event at his brewery. It's a big attraction, and that's what makes it so successful.
Been there, love it.
Sure, thank you, and Scott too, so.
Thank you so much.
All right, sure, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Okay, at this time, we're going to move on to the public comments on agenda items. This portion of the public comment is limited to items on tonight's agenda. Anyone who wishes to speak on any other topic will have a chance to do so at the second public comment section later in the meeting. Please note that this is a public comment, your opportunity to provide us with input and feedback. It's not a question and answer forum. A reminder, each speaker may only come up once per public comment portion. Okay, at this time, do we have somebody who has something on the agenda? Bruce?
Good evening, Mr. Council, County Street. My name is Louis Lopez. I'm a resident of 98 Leverett Drive, and I've got four agenda items I would like to speak about upon. H6, 21, 22, and 26. Can you explain the 26 first, if you don't mind?
I believe that item is, we are doing water testing at our laboratory. So that's the money set aside to do testing of water within the county.
I'd like to see more progress of that resolution in the 6, 21 and 22?
22, we are currently looking at, instead of leasing buses for the Burling services, we're currently looking at the possibility of going out for bid on purchasing buses. The buses are very old at this point and in need of replacement, so we're taking the opportunity to go out to bid to see what we can do as far as purchasing buses. And I believe the 21 is for various services related to treatment under social services. Okay, the expenditures of various different offerings that we have under the social services. And the next one.
The last one is number 6.
Oh, okay. Number 6 is our standard putting out to bid for services, attorney services, auditing and accounting for the year 2020. Not this year, but going into next year. What we do is we solicit or we go out and ask people to go ahead and submit back to us what they would charge the county for those services.
Yeah, another question at the subject agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody else that wants to talk about an agenda item that we have for this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'll close it at this time. Move on to resolutions. I would like to make a motion we approve resolutions H1 through H16 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Freeholders.
Thank you, Director. I'd like to remove items H17, H18, and H19 by unanimous consent.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Freeholder Hobson.
Thank you, Director. I move item H20 through H24 with unanimous consent.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Freeholder O'Connell.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I ask for items H25 through H28 to be moved by unanimous consent.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. We have representation of the press. Any questions from the press? Okay, now we're going to move on to public comment on non-agenda items. To move on to public comment, once again, I would like you to note, this is public comment and your opportunity to provide us with input and feedback. This is not a question and answer forum. Additionally, each speaker may only come up once for public comment portion. Okay? So I'll go by the list first on non-agenda. Valine Bruce. Did I say that right?
No, that's, it
No,
could have been
I'm
my
sorry.
writing. Valerie Bruce?
Valerie, I'm sorry. Okay.
Hi,
Apologize.
that's quite all right. I'm here today representing the My Passion for, I'm sorry.
Address for the record.
Yeah, 930 Jacksonville, Mount Holly Road, and it's considered Bordentown. Okay, that's quite all right. I'm here tonight representing My Passion for Christ Ministries. We are based in Burlington County, but we, if you'd like, can we pass these out to the viewers, please? Thank you. What we're trying to do is we go down to Camden County once a month to feed the homeless and take clothing and such, whatever they may need. We also are residents of Burlington County. We work for Burlington County Board of Social Services, so we see the need in our own county. But we're hitting a brick wall, or however you want to say it, on where we can start to come into Burlington County. We want the door open so we can help our county citizens. And we were hoping that you could help us or point us to the correct resource to start that process.
So I'll put you in touch with Nicholas Gangemi, our Public Information Officer.
Okay.
And he will put you in touch with our Director of Human Services, who's actually in the same building as the.
It was Shirla?
Shirla. And
Okay.
give your contact information to Nicholas.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next one is Teresa Kopsich. Please, I hope that was close.
So I'm here on behalf of the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter. I'd actually like to invite our president, Ryan, who's in the hallway, to speak first. So
Okay, sure.
He has an opening statement.
Okay, sure.
Speak first. You got the,
Bring our people in. Everybody come on in.
Not everybody. No, not everybody. No.
Come on in.
No, you can't.
You're back here.
No, that's okay, no. The president can come up, but you have to understand something. If you exceed the maximum limit in the hall, then, you know.
So you help me adopt my
Thank you for adopting. Thank you for taking the time to let me speak today.
Excuse me, you just need to say your name and address for the record.
Ryan Morgan, 17 Willowbrook Way, East Hampton, New Jersey. Hello, my name is Ryan Morgan. I'm the president of the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter nonprofit group. For the freeholders not familiar with our organization, over the last 8 years, we have contributed over $500,000 supporting the shelter through medical care, adoption promotions, and community events. Last year alone, we spent over $70,000 on medical care at the shelter. In 2018, our volunteers contributed over 38,000 volunteer hours, equaling the work of approximately 18 full-time employees. I am here today, joined by our entire board and a very small portion of our supporters, to express our concern over the declining save rates at our county shelter, and to once again reach out to the freeholders to ask for help in reaching a no-kill status. 2018 was the first year in the 8 years since Bobcats has been partnered with the shelter that the save rates have declined. This decline has continued in 2019 despite increasing financial support and investment from our organization. In June of 2017, New Jersey passed Resolution 237, urging all animal shelters in New Jersey to adopt no-kill policies and seek a way to reach a no-kill status, or a 90% save rate, by the year 2025. The freeholders of this county passed the Trap, Neuter, Return Resolution in September of the same year, knowing that TNR was the only way Burlington County would reach this status. However, business has continued as usual, and our county has actually gone backwards. The reason for this decline is undeniably the continued euthanasia of feral cats. Our county currently has a trap and kill policy, this same policy that has continued to fail for decades. Trap and kill has proven to not only not reduce the feral cat population, but to contribute to its growth. We are here today not only concerned for the animals of our community, but also for the local taxpayers and our hardworking friends that staff our shelter. As taxpayers, we are footing the bill for a trap and kill policy that has shown year after year to be ineffective. In 2018, over 450 feral cats were killed at our shelter. This is not only inhumane, but extremely emotionally draining on the county employees. Could you imagine going to work every day and thinking, how many healthy cats do I have to kill today? But there is a solution. TNR has been scientifically proven to reduce community cat populations. Both Cape May County and Camden County have adopted TNR policies, and both have reached no-kill status. Why can't Burlington County be next? Our group has tried to work with the county to implement a TNR program to end the killing of community cats. We have offered to fully fund at all medical costs associated with the program at no additional cost to the county. We have also offered all the manpower to transport these animals. We have done the meetings, worked the proper channels, and patiently waited for action. However, we continue to deal with a health department whose default answer is no, instead of how can we? We have spent $500,000 building a joint brand with the shelter that our residents in this county love. And our residents do not want to see the save rates at their respective shelter continuing to go backwards. They do not want to see animals being killed. We have come here today to urge the freeholders to address this issue. We're here with a small portion of our volunteers to show our commitment to this issue. We have an additional 20,000 followers on Facebook that support us, local businesses that donate to our cause. Our massive backing will begin canvassing local neighborhoods, asking residents to sign a no-kill petition. We want to work with the county and the freeholders. We want to stand hand in hand when we celebrate becoming a no-kill county. We will continue to donate funds and the manpower to the county to assist in achieving this goal, but we cannot do it alone. We need your help to make these proven programs possible. In closing, we've been told on more than one occasion that no one freeholder could speak for the board and make a public commitment to making Verona County a no-kill shelter by 2025. So I am here today in front of all the freeholders with an army dressed behind me in white, asking you, will you here commit today publicly to making the Verona County a no-kill community by 2025? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to the volunteers, thank you for everything you do. Some of you know that I am also the Township Administrator in Edgewater Park. This is an issue that we have faced as a municipality. I have worked with some of the individuals, and I am working with local government to try and do whatever we can relative to this situation. The one thing that I will personally promise you all is I will make it a point to have a meeting with our Department of Health, go over the different statistics and that we have. I would ask you to please get with our PIO. If you have any raw data relative to what the TNR program brings relative to cat populations, etc., please share that, because that would be important in my meeting with him. And after I have that meeting, I will please give your contact information. I will personally get with you.
One of the main things that we truly believe would be beneficial and what we need the county support on is we have tried to campaign among the 40 townships, but we do need the weight of the county behind us. Ultimately the shelter is a county institution, and we're here to assist you, but we would love to see the county get on board and take the incentive to want to reach this no-kill status. And we feel that the best way that you could assist us and we could assist you is that we have to address the outdated ACO contracts. These contracts were written before I was born. They do not even cover the cost that goes onto these taxpayers for the care that goes into each animal anymore. We were told in our meeting by the health department, well, they just auto-renew. So they've been auto-renewing for 30 years. Right now, there is no financial incentive to the townships to take on TNR because they're not really carrying the cost of the true care of the animal. So we're willing to, if the county's willing to use their strength to update these contracts to make it more financially beneficial to the townships to take on TNR, we're then willing to put the funds together to put out that medical contract with the vet contractor and pay the funds for the spay and the neuter and transport these animals back. But we need help with these townships to get ordinances passed, and that's what we're hoping that you guys will be willing to assist us with.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll pick up where I left off. So my name is Teresa Kotas, 105 Westminster Drive, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I am the trap neuter return coordinator with the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter. So this little guy right here is one of our 2018 models. He was found at a dump site, essentially crawling out from underneath a dumpster. And because one of our folks was doing TNR in a parking lot, she was able to save his life. That's just one of the thousands of cats that we actually participate in the process of TNR every year. I can tell you that when we approached, when we tried to figure out what the issue was with TNR, we actually asked Best Friends Animal Society's New Jersey lawyer. We said, to this woman, we said, is there any issue with conducting TNR, in New Jersey? And her answer was quite frank. She said no. She said unless there are ordinances specific in each municipality prohibiting TNR, then you may proceed, according to the statutes within our state. So we looked at, all of our 40 municipalities, and there's not a single one that actually prohibits TNR. And this is important to us because essentially our county shelter believes that when we return to field a cat, they consider that abandonment. And that's actually what's prohibiting the shelter from releasing the 463 cats that were euthanized in 2018 at a cost of about $13,000. It's about $35 a cat, according to the old contract rates, to euthanize a cat. In New Jersey, we estimate that there's about 1 feral cat for every 10 people. So that puts us at about 45,000 community cats and residents. We, in 2018, euthanized 1% of those cats. Euthanizing 45,000 cats would cost $1.3 million, and no one in good conscience would be willing to euthanize all those cats. So, what we are asking is something that will actually help reduce the number of cats in our community. Our goal would be to have, fewer cats come into our shelter that are feral every year, so that our animal attendants and our staff could actually, spend the time socializing animals and walking the dogs, and not just taking care of the feral cats for 7 days before they euthanize them. I mean, that's essentially our point. We will work hard as a volunteer group in partnership with the shelter, and in partnership with many of the other rescues that are represented here tonight, to actually try to improve the save rates in our county. I mean, you have a very strong volunteer group. There's over 300 people in our group and hundreds more in every little, small, group in our county that want to actually achieve a no-kill status by 2025 and hopefully sooner. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a Mr. Al Martino. I think I got that one right.
You did.
I did. Okay, good.
I'm not the singer.
Okay.
My name's Al Martino. I'm from 128 Williamsburg Way, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I spoke here in June when a group of us came from FOPCAS to talk to the freeholders about the need for a TNR program at the shelter. And if you probably don't remember, but I also spoke about the strain of not having a program at the shelter that it's having on the shelter's rescue partners. I happen to be a volunteer with the Burlington County Animal Alliance. And I just want to give you guys another perspective as to what's happening out there. We have groups like Randall's Rescue, Lynn's Rescue, the Burlington County Animal Alliance. There's many groups out there that are doing TNR, that are rescuing community and homeless cats. I just want you to know that everyone I speak to, including myself and representatives here from BCAA, we're hanging on by a thread. And until the shelter assists us in doing the work that we do, we're just going to collapse. I mean, I'm going to be 60 years old. I'm retired. I'm a retired school teacher. My day starts 7:30 in the morning, and it ends 11 o'clock at night with my last text messages to people who are reaching out to me, asking me for help, telling me they have cats and kittens in their yard. What can they do? If it wasn't for the groups like BCAA and all those other grassroots rescues that are out there, I'm sure the kill rate at the shelter would be much higher than what it is. And I use the term kill because that's what's happening. Cats and kittens are being killed. They're not being euthanized. I know Teresa used the term euthanized. I mean, animals that are euthanized have no hope. You know, we euthanize animals when they're sick and there's nothing more that we can do for them. But we kill animals because it's convenient. And that's what we're doing. We're killing these animals because it's just convenient to do it that way. But that convenience is just, it's going to backfire because the public is learning more and more. I mean, when I reach out to people, I'm being gut honest with them anymore. I tell them they got to reach out to their county people, they got to reach out to their municipal people and let them know that we need TNR. We are preventing animals from getting into the shelter. I know BCAA probably took in over 200 rescued cats and kittens this year. So if you do the math, I mean, we're taking them in. We do it at our own expense. We spay and neuter them. We adopt them out. If you do the math, if those kittens were left in those yards, if we said no, they would be reproducing. All those kittens. I mean, a kitten can start reproducing at 5 months old. Have 4 litters a year. You know, that's 6 kittens each litter, and then you multiply that. Those kittens left out, they're not neutered and spayed, and the numbers just increase and increase. When we fold, when BCAA cannot function anymore, and these other rescues cannot function anymore, and we're this close, it's not, you know, you have to understand, it's not a thread, it's the truth of the matter. We're hanging on by a thread, and when we go, the only reason why I'm up here is when we go, more animals are going to suffer. And those rates, that kill rate in our shelter is going to balloon. And, you know, I guess we have to tell the public the truth. And the reason why it's going to balloon and get out of control is because we're not acting now. We need to act now. Thank you.
Okay, Patricia Bush.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Bush. I live at 490 Landing Street, Lumberton, New Jersey. I'm here, I volunteer at BCAA. I have for years. Before that, I volunteered with the Friends back in 2010, 2011, 2012. I changed from the Friends to BCAA when I was volunteering in the adoptable cat room. And one day the vet tech came in and she had orange sticky notes. And she walked around and she put an orange sticky note here, black and white tuxedo, about a year old. She put an orange sticky note here on a little orange cat. She put an orange sticky note here on a 2-month-old little tiger kitten. And distributed a couple more. I didn't know what she was doing. I asked Micah, the head of BCAA for years, who was also a FOBCAS volunteer, what the orange sticky notes are for. Because the vet tech left. She did her notes, she said, I can't choose, it's indiscriminate, and she left. Micah said, and she had her daughter, who was volunteering also, they're the ones that they're going to kill for space. I said, they're going to kill that little tiny kitten for space? What do I have to do with you, BCAA? How do I get with you, BCAA, Micah? Because I'll take them all. So we have been doing that. We have a very strong foster program. FOBCAS, the shelter has a very strong foster program thanks to FOBCAS. But as Al said, BCAA, Lynn's Rescue, Angels Among Us, Hainsport's Cats, Randall's Rescue, Bordentown City Cats. It's the amount of rescues who are taking in these kittens and cats, taking care of their medical needs, vetting them, and then adopting them out, socializing them, is enormous. And when we fold, and a lot of us are very much on that edge, you will see those rates soar. It is unbelievable to me that in this day and age, the answer to cat overpopulation in Burlington County, New Jersey, is to kill them. And that is the honest truth. That is the plain fact of the matter. They take them, they put them in a little youth box, and they shoot them up. What did that cat do? They can't spay and neuter themselves. They don't open up the door and let themselves out. It is a human responsibility. In the Netherlands, they resolved their stray dog population a couple decades ago. How did they do that? They put heavy taxes on any dog that was being purchased by a breeder or in a pet store. Those taxes helped them to be able to fund free. And I've been attending meetings since 2011 about spay-neuter clinics and TNR, but free spay-neuter services for all citizens. I can't tell you how many people we, out of our own pockets, as well as the donations that we actively work for, fund people who can't afford to have their pets spayed, even at $45 or $50. FOBCAS funds completely free community cats. We have to get the word out about that. You have to get the word out about that, about their services, about all this good work and these hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're pouring into the shelter. I rarely see any information about that. But first of all, free spay-neuter clinics, the county government needs to subsidize it. And you subsidize it by taxing people who add to pet overpopulation. The other way that the Netherlands funds no stray dogs is heavy fines for animal abusers, not a slap on the wrist, $18,000 or more. Okay? So there's a way to fund this. So I know that data has been provided over the years. All the data that you've asked for has been provided before. It will continue to be provided out of the good hearts of these people, your constituents, and their 20,000, and the BCAA 15,000 followers, and the Limbs Rescue thousands, and all those other people in Burlington County who are watching what's happening now. I don't know if my 5 minutes is up. I don't know if that's what the ding means, but there is a way to do it. Look it up. The Netherlands does not have a stray dog population anymore, and they found a way to do it. And we can too. We can too, through you guys. Thank you.
Okay, I have Ryan Morgan. Oh, okay. Okay, then I've went through the list. Is there anybody else? Louis?
Good evening, 300 Burlington County, Louis Silk, and 911 Drive. I have two concerns. For the sidewalk at the county parking lot next to buildings. Who's in charge of the sidewalks?
Yeah, ask that again. I'm sorry. You're asking who's in charge of the sidewalks?
Yeah, when you go towards the building, you know, the corner store.
In Mount Holly?
Yeah.
At the grocery store down on the corner?
Yeah. When you cross the street, that's like, you know, the county sidewalk.
Okay.
You know, I take my mother in the wheelchair every day, and we check that out, but there's a sidewalk that is over 3 inches, you know, deep. And we have to go to, you know, to the ground. The only way to, I know you have a county worker could pass that thing up so it could pass easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. If you're free, when they can do that, I appreciate it.
You do me a favor, get the information to him for me, and let me follow up with our engineer and Mount Holly, okay?
Oh, okay. And one question, what's the policy to, I know the state have a bill, I wonder if you could go to the county to ban some consumer item, like the vapor, how'd that go to Burlington County? Or they have to go to the state?
I don't know at this point. I'm sure it would have to be taken up by the health department. I know that there's a lot of debate going on right now at all levels of government, not only state but the federal level. I know that there's things underway right now where they're trying to shut it down basically until they can find other avenues as far as for, safe inhalation of that stuff.
And on that topic, the person who made do you write the cartridge? The CEO has been removed today. That's another, not sure victory, but another for the company to see. And one last question I'd like to ask: have there been any concern, any lead in our Brownton County water system?
At this point, not that I'm aware of. Okay.
I know that's one.
You're saying lead?
Yeah, lead.
Not that I'm aware of. It's not been brought to my attention that we have an area that has a lead problem in water.
So, for the rescue, I rescued the last 6 months. I rescued 2 Chihuahua, one from Philadelphia, and one here in South Jersey. So 4 Chihuahua we had the house. We take care of them, and the 2 of them are seniors. Not a senior, 17 and 18 years old. Loving care every day like a human being. And one last thing about the no-kill shelter, I wish you could do the same thing at the state of Delaware. That state had no-kill shelter at all. They have a big expanded opportunity, and there's a billion donate close to $500 million or even more to that purpose. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Before I close, is there anybody else that would like to speak about anything? Yes, ma'am. Come up front.
Patricia Finley, 207 Hawking Road, Southampton, New Jersey. I have been a part of this volunteer group for many years. I started out as a cat foster. I started TNR with the help of a veterinarian in the Southampton Tabernacle area back in the 90s. That was way before most people ever heard of TNR. Okay, but it worked, and I've been doing it ever since. I know that a lot of your consideration will be based on figures, dollar amounts, what's best for the county. But I would like to open up an invitation to each one of you to come join me one day. I'm presently working at the Medford Township Police Station on a colony. I was asked to get involved with that from the chief of police. They had such a problem with kitty cats getting underneath the police vehicles, especially in the winter, because they have to leave them running in case there's an emergency call. The officers really hated coming out. I mean, there's kitty cats in the drive and they're on an emergency call. They have to go. So with the help of the police chief and myself and the 2 lieutenants and 1 other staff employee, we have gotten most of them spayed and neutered. Unfortunately, before it was all done, we had a few more litters that came into existence. I am out there daily. I am out there, I started there in January, I was out there on snowy days, I was out there in the pouring rain, and we had lots of days of heavy wind and rain, and it was so cold. But I had to keep working, and that's what all of these volunteers do. So just in case you've never had to deal with this. Maybe you've never noticed the cats in your community, that maybe only come out at night to feed, to find food somewhere. I invite you to come out to the Medford Police Station, and I would be happy to show you how we go about doing what we do, walk you through it, let you feed a few of the kitties, let you meet the police chief and how this has helped his department. And we did this, as our leader explained, we need your support to push the townships into putting out TNR ordinances. Medford Township, April 2018, put out first reading to allow TNR. It never went to a second reading because they had too much opposition in the township. So a lot of us are out there and we're doing it on our own. I have to provide the food. You know, I'm carrying gallons of water every day, okay? But these are the things we have to do. We have to get the job done. We're willing as volunteers to do whatever it takes, but we need you to help us push those townships that don't have an ordinance to get an ordinance into the books to help us. And like I said, anytime you have my name and address, you can easily call me. I would love to introduce you to the chief and have you get a first-hand see how this helped you know, an organization like the police station. I also did the Medford Senior Housing. I did a medical complex in Medford. I did a farm. This is just within the last 2 years. I did a farm, and I'm also doing a shopping center that has a problem there in Medford. So I look forward to it, for maybe you could come out. And the other thing is that maybe you want to consider is in your decision making is maybe go to the shelter on a kill day. It will break your heart. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Good evening, freeholders. Ryan Greck, Highlands Preservation Alliance. I'm here tonight to ask the county to keep its word. Freeholders and staff have publicly stated opposition to the Southern Reliability Link pipeline, and according to the county policy, procedures, and specifications manual, road occupancy, road opening, etc., quote, the county engineer and/or the board of chosen freeholders at their discretion may revoke an issued permit in the interest of public safety, end quote. In light of that authority held by this freeholder board, I, along with 900 petition signers so far, which we just launched 5 days ago, am urging the board to halt the SRL construction until the lawsuits are decided. As you know, residents and community groups have filed a number of suits related to the pipeline, and tonight I'd like to share some of PPA's argument, namely addressing the myth that the pipeline is needed by Joint Base McGuire-Dix-Lakehurst. New Jersey Natural Gas has perpetuated the narrative that the natural gas is essential for base function and therefore conforms with the comprehensive management plan of the Pinelands. The CMP states that development such as the SRL is permitted in a military area only if it is, quote, associated with the function, end quote, of that institution. The notion that the Joint Base needs the pipeline was proven false by emails between New Jersey Natural Gas and Joint Base officials made public as a result of the Freedom of Information Act request. I'll now share some direct quotes from these emails. On May 12, 2014, a New Jersey Natural Gas official wrote to base officials stating that the, quote, best option for the pipeline was a southern route, end quote, that did not even enter the military property. That was the best option. But the official goes on to explain that that route involves a, quote, section of forest preservation area that would make the approval process more cumbersome, end quote. The official continued that, quote, we met with the Pinelands Commission last week for an initial review of our pipeline proposal, and they suggested that we approach you to see if we could reroute the line through your base. They believe that this new route, along with a letter from the base that the presence of a pipeline would be a positive attribute to future base activities, could streamline their process, end quote. So the mere presence of a pipeline with no equipment to make the gas usable to the joint base would be a positive attribute. Not a military purpose, but a positive attribute. Not for the present tense, but for future base activities. And most importantly, not for any actual military purpose, but to streamline the pipeline's approval process. After 6 months of correspondence with the base, NJNG was no closer to articulating an actual military purpose for the pipeline, because on December 1st, 2014, NJNG official wrote to Joint Base officials, quote, "I am putting together wording for Section 9 of the Pinelands Permit. It involves gas use issues on the base. It requires a description of why our project conforms to the Pinelands regulations for utility use," end quote. End quote. The NJNG official went on to suggest that two possible hypothetical future uses for the pipeline by the base, and made it absolutely clear that to the military officials, that agreeing on their story was critically important to the Pinelands application. Quote, "I believe that one of the above items must be identified and included in our description of the base. The issue needs to get settled so the application can get submitted," end quote. If there was an actual military purpose, there wouldn't be two different stories that had to be agreed on. Clearly, the agreement was never even reached because neither of the company's versions of a legitimate military purpose wound up being included in the application at all, so ultimately vague statements won the day. In fact, the Air Force completed an installation development plan in 2012, well before discussions of the pipeline even began, and determined that natural gas, quote, "supply capacity is not considered an issue for future growth," end quote. This plan projected out 25 years, stating that no new natural gas is needed on the base until 2037. So to recap what was learned from the emails, by New Jersey Natural Gas's own admission, it felt that a non-military route was its best option. By the company's own admission, it only switched to the military route after the Pinelands Commission staff told them it would streamline the application process. By the company's own admission, they struggled to come up with a legitimate military purpose for the pipeline, other than vague statements. And by New Jersey Natural Gas's own admission, there are no actual plans, present or the future, to build a station that would lower the pressure of the pipeline, making it usable for actual military purpose on the base. NJNG could not easily get permission to construct the SRL along the path it wanted, through the Pinelands, without manufacturing a reason to go through the joint base, thanks to the suggestion of the Pinelands Commission. The truth is there is no military need for this pipeline. The base didn't intend to, and given the pressure inside the pipeline, physically cannot use that natural gas. I'll wrap up. These direct quotes from emails between NJNG and the base clearly demonstrate that the base was used to fabricate justification for the pipeline that profits only the shareholders of NJNG, used to get approvals for the construction. Let this argument and many others play out in court. Allow the legal system to do its job. Stop the construction until the lawsuits are decided. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jane France, 14 Thompson Street, Bordentown City. I want to first applaud what Ryan has just said. And then to you freeholders, I placed my trust in you at the ballot box last November because of your opposition to the pipeline. I placed my trust in you to protect the pinelands. I placed my trust in you to protect my health and well-being, as well as the health and well-being of everyone else in Burlington County. I placed my trust in you to protect our environment. It is not too late. You can halt the construction of this pipeline in Burlington County. Let the courts decide these issues. And I noted that for the No Kill 2025 group, you commented on their requests and comments, and I think that the Pineland, Protect the Pineland Alliance deserves that same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Patty Caruso. I live in Upper Freehold. In your opening prayer, you read, "Let us be courageous and wise in our decisions." So my question to you is, why aren't you doing this? Once again, you were elected to be leaders, not followers. We know why Tiver and Gibbs ran for office, but why did the four of you run for office? Was it to rubber stamp decisions that were already made by politicians in NJNG, or to stand up to lies and political pressure? Why are you willing to jeopardize trillions of gallons of clean water in the Pinelands just so New Jersey Natural Gas can make a profit? Why are you willing to do that? That is totally illogical to me. Mr. O'Connell, I know that at one of the meetings you stated at the end that if the base needs this pipeline, that's good enough reason for you. Well, we know that that was a fabricated need. Why isn't anyone willing to stand up to them and set the record straight? Why can't this play out in courts instead of just rubber stamping and agreeing? What made you flip-flop from you saying you would do anything in your power to stop this? I'm curious. I met someone recently who works on the base, and he's been in the military for a long time. He is truly frightened that this pipeline is going through the base, because he said if there is an explosion, the whole base will be shut down. So then how does that help keep all of us safe if the base is shut down? Last Monday, a group of us marched from the compressor station in Chesterfield 10 miles to Trenton, to the BPU, to the NJDEP, to the State House, to the governor's office. I didn't see any of you there. We are asking Murphy to issue an emergency moratorium on all fossil fuel projects. There are 14 or 15 of them in the works. Who is going to stand up to these people? I would like to use my remaining time for a moment of silence for all the living things that will die from this SRL pipeline. Whether it be the animals, the wildlife, rare species, and yes, potentially people, because every couple weeks you see that there's another pipeline explosion. So whatever time I have left, I would like all of us to just have a moment of silence for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, Margot Pellegrino, Medford Lakes. I've been a little out of the loop on the Pinelands, on this latest pipeline. Is this the one that's still drawn to go through a plume, a toxic plume? So what, you know, this whole project, which has not really fully been approved, going through a toxic plume, so therefore a conduit of contamination, I don't understand why it's still being allowed to go forward when it hasn't gotten all of its approvals. I mean, this just seems really silly. Would you let a person build a house if they hadn't gotten all their approvals and all their zoning permits and all their et cetera, safety permit? No, you wouldn't, right? So this is so silly, a pipeline that's going to affect people and animals and our drinking water, which, you know, I don't know if you know about like that Greta, whatever, Thunberg person talking about climate change. This kid, this child who sailed across the seas. We really do have a crisis. I've always been very happy about Burlington County, for the most part. There's a lot of stuff we could do better. But stuff like the solar panels we have on street lamps, and we're very proactive, you know, with protecting our water in some parts and our parks and everything, and that's great. But this is so counter everything forward thinking. You know, I mean, let's be the no-kill shelter county. Let's be like, we get so many jokes in South Jersey told about us, like we're the backwards cousins of, you know, the forward thinkers up there in North Jersey, you know, Montclair, like they giggle at us. I mean, really, let's do something that puts us on the map and makes South Jersey a shining star of doing the right thing. Because this is really, really silly. You know, not to mention that we're piping fracked gas through this pipeline. This is fracked gas, which was, you know, the Halliburton loophole kept this gas from being regulated, not by the Clean Water Act, but the Safe Drinking Water Act, okay? Even worse, because we're talking drinking water. This is exempt from safe drinking water. We cannot continue between climate change and contamination. Cancer is really expensive. Do you know anyone who's gone through cancer and how expensive that is? This is our health now. The drinking water, you can only be as healthy as the water that you drink, the air that you breathe, and the food that you eat. Can't always control the food that you eat. You know, you try to read labels, but you don't know how it's grown. But you can at least be sure about your water, or at least you should be. So between climate change, which we know is going to impact New Jersey greatly, and we're already seeing these impacts, and between clean drinking water, and we know with climate change, drinking water is going to be a huge issue. It's going to be our #1 resource that we have to protect, other than our people. And people are resources too. We don't want them sick. So how can you allow this to continue? How can you let it happen when it's not been granted all the permits and it's being fought, right? There is a case, right? I hate to say it. I've been totally out of the loop. It's embarrassing. So I mean, I just don't understand that. Anyway, thank you, and thank you for the good, wonderful things you do, and thank you so much for taking this position and being willing to do this. But let's remember also the people and the future, our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Howard Rolla, Highland Preservation Alliance member, and I live 263 Crystal Terrace, Haddonfield, New Jersey. Freeholders, first of all, my compliments to Burlington County for its success in preserving several acres of natural and historic land. Also, the Parks Department has a wonderful selection of nature education classes, events, and presentations, such of which I have attended. I was disappointed to hear that the county has issued the road permits for the New Jersey Natural Gas Southern Reliability Link Pipeline project. This pipeline violates the Pineland Comprehensive Management Plan by going through a preservation area on Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst and also by not serving the energy needs of the base. Since this pipeline is being illegally constructed, I urge Burlington County not to support its construction. In addition, it is well known that gas pipelines can leak, polluting soil and groundwater, as well as explode, endangering residents and wildlife. Since this project is being debated in court, it would be wise to stop its progress until there has been a legal decision made. It is most likely the project will be stopped due to its illegal nature. It is not too late for this board to vote to stop the pipeline from being constructed. Please think in terms of promoting clean and renewable energy sources such as wind and solar, and phasing out fossil fuels for a healthier and safer future. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Deborah Smith. I live in Southampton, and I'm a Burlington County resident, of course. I'm here because of my extreme disappointment in the decisions that have been made here by the freeholders with this pipeline. I would like to have you remember that you all said that you did not agree with it and that you would do everything you could to stop it. I remember distinctly. You haven't kept your word, and I'm not sure why, because if I have the information about the danger of this pipeline, then you certainly have the information. So as I echo what's already been said, I don't understand why it can't be stopped, at least until the courts make a decision. They're working feverishly to put this pipeline in. They're going through people's front yards. You know, not only does the pipeline fail to meet what the comprehensive management plan designed to maintain and enhance all of the Pine Barrens, but it's going to cost $178 million, 100% of which would be paid for by New Jersey natural gas ratepayers. Now, the only people who win here are the shareholders of the company, not the customers. And there's so many people out there that think that we need this in order to have our lights on and heat our homes, which is totally false information. The Pinelands Commission, they approved this pipeline, but it was under political pressure. And those people are gone from the commission now because we voted. I don't understand why you can put at risk one of the largest freshwater aquifers in the United States. It's found within the sandy soils of the Pinelands. The mission of the Pinelands is not to argue with anybody or to make enemies. It's to protect and preserve the resources that we have. It's not for me or my neighbors or just a few people in Southampton. This is for everyone. This water is our most precious commodity. If you look and you're honest, your children and your grandchildren, I mean, how are they going to have clean water? How are we going to continue? There's a crisis. And this little community right here has an opportunity to look at it, at least do something to allow the courts to decide what this is. You've been silent. You've been silent in all areas until you just allowed the continuing with the road permit. So I'm just really disappointed. I can look in all your faces, and you know, in the beginning I was really happy that we could come up here and we could see eye to eye and we could communicate about things that are important in this little community. But this reaches further out. This is immense. This is the health of everything. I think it's very short-sighted. to let somebody else figure it out and just let it keep going. And it seems, I'm not blaming or accusing, but it seems like someone's washing someone else's hands. I don't understand who could be benefiting from this. It seems like the allowance of all this is because who's zooming who, almost. I would really, really like it if you could look at it. There's a lot of things happening here in Burlington County that need attention, and I know that. I know that you're probably overwhelmed. But this piece of business right here is going to affect more than just this little town or my little town. This is going to affect everyone, businesses, people, children, wildlife. When we lose our clean water, you might as well just kiss goodbye. It won't even matter if you have a job. You know, you can't live, no one can live without clean water. Truth and facts matter. Thank you. Thank you for letting me talk. We are all adamant about this.
Hi, my name's Kate Prosciaria, team with the Pinelands Preservation Alliance. I was at the climate strike a couple days ago. I saw somebody carrying an interesting sign that said, if you think the fighting over oil is bad now, wait until you hear about the fight about water that's coming. I don't know if that rings a bell with anyone, but water is going to be more and more scarce. Like, there's going to be more salt water, and there's going to be less fresh water. So you have to consider the limited resource that we have that's fresh water all the time, I think, in your decision making. When you think about the pipeline going through the Fort Dix area, I think you have to consider that the pipelines tend to leak. Everybody knows that they tend to leak. We've seen that all over the country as they put pipelines through. You have to think about the water table in general. It's not just the area right where it is that's going to go. Once it gets into the water table and goes through the water, that's it. Like, there's not going to be fresh water for anybody in any part of the area. I just want to say one more thing, and that's, I met a Chinese doctor once, and I said to her sister, she doesn't speak English, and I said, by the way, what is it that you really appreciate about the United States? And she said, without any hesitation, she said, you're so lucky to have really clean air and really clean water in the United States. We don't have that in China. So think about that for a minute, and think about, you know, what you're going to do. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
My name is Janice Ludden, and I live in Hainesport. And I was not prepared to speak tonight. I'm obviously here for the no-kill. Hainesport, we are fortunate that Hainesport has been progressive in allowing us to have a TNR program that we are starting. We have an industrial park, and there's lots of cats there. In my own neighborhood, there are cats that we've been working to catch, and I feel strongly that TNR has been the approach that's proven to be effective in this problem. I'm also a bird lover, and I know cats kill birds, and there's the report that just came out recently about 40% of the birds have been lost since the 1970s. Reducing the cat population is an important part of that. I'm also here because of the Pinelands, and that I can't say more eloquently than what's already been said, but I will reiterate that it is very short-sighted to continue with pipelines and fossil fuels in the light of what we're doing to our planet. And we all have to answer for what we're doing, and we all have to be responsible. And to allow something to continue that is even being battled in courts is just, in my opinion, irresponsible and not something that I can imagine you would feel proud to have as your legacy during this term. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I wasn't prepared to talk, but I just wanted to add that in. Thank you.
Anybody else? Nobody? Okay. This time I'll close the public portion, and we'll move on to comments by freeholders. Freeholder Tiber.
Thank you, Director. A couple things. First, I want to congratulate Maria Babula, 42 years working for the county. I want to thank her for her service. Thank you. She's probably in the left already. So may she collect many retirement checks. A couple years ago, I went to a grand opening for the animal shelter opening, and I took my wife and my 2 kids, and we went and did the ribbon cutting, and my daughter said, "Let's go in." I knew what was going to happen. I have 2 labs at home, and my daughter, for some reason, went right to the cats. We never owned a cat before, and my wife kept saying, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" I said, "It's up to you. How's the cat going to get along with the dogs? How's the dogs going with the cat?" Needless to say, we were not allowed to leave without taking home a cat. So we took the cat home. The cat 2 years later lives upstairs, and the dogs live downstairs. The dogs want to love on the cat, but she wants nothing to do with them. 2 years later, yesterday I came home from work, and there's the cat on the bottom step. Both dogs are nose to nose with her. I said, "Holy mackerel! 2 years later, we're getting somewhere." So it's very rewarding. I never owned a cat before. I really like it. And Director, I echo your sentiments on maybe we should look into this a little further. That's what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder Director. I'd like to thank everybody who came out tonight, and I'm glad some of the FOBCAST volunteers or the no-kill 2025 people are still here, because I'd like to address you and make you aware of a few things that you may or may not be aware of. But before that, on comments on the pipeline, comment was directed at me that I said if this was for the good of the base, that was good enough for me. I remember my comments clearly that night. First of all, those of you who don't know, we did not approve of the building of the pipeline. That was a BPU decision, it was not ours. What I said that night, though, is the agreement that we had our county engineer negotiate, unlike Ocean County, which didn't negotiate that, if we were to rescind the road opening or road closing permit, we would lose all the protections that we had the county engineer negotiate, or that the county engineer negotiated. Having said that, when we talk about the safety of the residents, if they could still build the pipeline even if we rescinded that, I'm unwilling to put the rest of the residents on the hook for what may be millions and millions of dollars in damages and in costs. To the shelter. Upon becoming freeholder, I became liaison to the health department, and in the health department is the animal shelter. I was really very happy to receive the assignment. I'm very fond of both cats and dogs. And I met the Friends of the Burlington County Animal Shelter. I've attended some of their meetings. I've always been impressed at what you've done, and I know I can speak for all of my colleagues here who feel the same way. We're very fortunate to have you. There was a comment, though, directed tonight that we've said no to the volunteer organizations about the TNR program. That's not true. Since becoming freeholder in January, we met with the officers of FOBCAST twice. The first time to find out what they wanted to do. That was the first time I ever heard about the TNR program. The second time when we met with them, we explained to them that we would have to look into this, and unfortunately, having been in government for very long, the process can be very slow and agonizing. There's a reason for that, though. Sometimes you want to make sure that you get things right. But to say that we've told them no is not correct. As a matter of fact, Dr. Conaway isn't here tonight. I hesitate to speak on his behalf, but I did talk to him, and he told me that he and other members of the health department have been down to Gloucester County and they're looking into, they're doing their due diligence on what TNR would entail on our side of the equation. Having said that, at our second meeting with the officers of FOBCAS, well, let me go back. First meeting, Dr. Conaway and I met with the officers. Dr. Conaway offered to talk to the elected officials in the two largest sending municipalities to our shelter, to tell them to expect a call from FOBCAS so that they could go and explain the TNR program to get buy-in on the municipal level. We have no authority to enforce our will on any municipality in Burlington County, and no freeholder board has that on any municipality in the town. We left that first meeting thinking that they would take us up on that offer. When we had the second meeting, the president of FOBCAS told us, no, we never had the meeting, we never called. And we were both kind of baffled about that. Baffled, one, that they wouldn't take the opportunity, and two, that they wouldn't communicate with us. So I appreciate all of you coming out here. I understand the passion behind this. I wouldn't want to be around having to euthanize animals all, myself. But I hope you understand, first of all, we didn't say no. And two, we've tried to ask and encourage them to speak with the municipalities. If we trap and neuter the animal, as a county, we have no authority to go back and take those animals back to that town. So yes, we need to buy in on the municipalities. We wanted and hoped that FOBCAS would do that. There's still time for us to do that. And again, if anybody is telling you we've said no on this issue, that's not right. That's a mischaracterization of our position. Thank you, Freeholder Director.
Freeholder Hobson.
Thank you. I'll keep my comments short, suffering from a toothache. So I'm looking forward to getting some more information about what's going on at our animal shelter. So to the Friends of Burlington County Animal Shelter, I hear you. So I'm looking forward to getting more information so we can come up with a resolution. And I just want to remind everyone that we've launched Burlington County Restaurant Week. So we're excited about that. So I'm hoping that you all are excited about it as well. It will be this October 20th through the 26th. So please stay tuned for more information to come. We've reached out to over 500 restaurants in the county, hoping that they will participate. And you can find more information on my Facebook page, Freeholder Felicia Hobson, on our the county's Facebook page, Burlington County. So please, if you want to nominate one of your favorite restaurants, please do that as well. Thank you all for coming. Get home safely.
Thank you. Freeholder Singh.
Thank you, Director. The comments both by Freeholder Tiger, Freeholder O'Connell, and Freeholder Hobson. Due to all those, I'm going to let them work with the liaisons from each Freeholder O'Connell's liaison to the health department and Director Napoleon. They can work to have a meeting, and then we will all support the discussions that they have had. This Sunday we have a Burlington County Sword Festival, so if the weather is right, please come out with families, free canoeing and kayaking. And also, if it's a sunny day, there should also be a beer garden put up together by Burlington County Military Affairs Committee. I had a dog and a cat growing up, when I was growing up in the village, but my kids, I tried to ask my wife quietly if we could have another dog or a cat. I have 3 kids under 5 in a 1,200 square foot townhouse and 1 kid on the way next week or 2. And she said, sure, we can have it, just replace one of the kids. But unfortunately, as much as my love for dogs and cats, I was asking to replace the kids. So, or I would, so I'm gonna have not volunteer or take my kids. I did actually take my kids to play with the cats at animal shelter last year. It was really, really good times for them. But after that, I don't want to be in an entire situation where I bring the cat and then my wife is cutting my head off. She's at home already with the kids, and it's too much for her. But other than that, thank you so much for coming out. We do listen. It's just there are things that are sometimes everybody likes to talk about the big talking points. No, we did not approve the pipeline. We just have to control the construction. As unfortunate it is in our body, but this is not our pipeline to approve. And there is no court case there's no permit that has been left, that hasn't been received by them. they have all the permits. That's the only reason they're doing construction. The problem is more on a philosophical standpoint, whether the permit is legit, which is already given by state and so on. And so there's a little bit of disingenuity in making those arguments on both sides. The permits have been received. There's no permit that's outstanding. It's not like the building something illegal, but unfortunately, it's not something that we had control over at this point. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I had a couple of things happen this week. First of all, to all the directors and our administrator and folks that showed up to the State of the County last night to listen to me babble and speak. I appreciate it. I was very proud of the accomplishments that we have done so far and the work that you directors have done for us with various programs. Once again, shout out to our engineer and the Public Works for all the initiatives that they've been doing with the streets and the projects in the towns. We had a job fair today out at RCBC. That went very well. There was a lot of businesses that showed up for prospective students. I thought that went very well. And also yesterday, I got a private, I had requested a private tour of Bancroft in Mount Laurel. Several of us were out there last year when it was, they broke the ribbon, but we were all rushed and I never really got a good opportunity. There are some fantastic people out there that work with special needs children. Some very severe cases. These individuals come from all over the country to see what the families have done with Bancroft is I can't say enough about it. But if you haven't had an opportunity to go out there and see what they do, especially for children and for the families, you should take the time because in my opinion, we have a few saints out there working at that every day. Once again, thank you all the directors for everything you do all day long, the administration, etc. Like I said, we can't keep it going without you, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Thanks. The one thing that I really love about this country is the ability to get up and speak your mind and convey to us things that you feel need to be addressed. And as Deputy Director Singh said and the other freeholders said, sometimes we're up against it and people don't think that we're kind of performing or doing things, but we are. And believe me, when I made a statement, I was running for office, that I said I would do everything in my power to work against the pipeline. I can tell you I have done that, and other people have done that. So safe driving, thank you for coming out, and I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.